And we're going to start with you again. I'm sorry I didn't get you in time.
Okay.
Make you get up and down.
That's okay.
What in your prior experience makes you qualified to do this?
Well, what makes me qualified is my work as a leader in my community. Again, focusing on transportation, infrastructure, and property rights. I was nominated in 2012 to serve for 16 months on my town's Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. And what this was, it was a think tank of 14 citizens, and we were to envision what we want the town of Prosper to grow into and evolve into. And through that process, I learned so much about planning, economic development, transportation, everything having to do from housing, just soup to nuts of what makes a successful city or county. And that led me into a study of regionalism, because many times we had ideas for our county, but we were told without the permission or blessing of the regional body called the North Central Texas Council of Government that we were not able to do A, B, or C. And so I started studying regionalism, and my sole focus is I want whatever the county or any given city or town in the county, whatever the desires of those taxpayers, that's what I want this county to become. And there are outside entities today that try to dictate to cities, towns, and counties and put parameters on us that perhaps are not appropriate. Thank you.
Same question. You want me to repeat it? Go for it.
There's three things that make me qualified for this. First is my business experience. I've run a multi-million-dollar commercial construction company for nearly 3 decades. I've dealt with contracts, I've made a payroll, a big payroll. I've paid insurance. I've dealt with risk management. I've dealt with all of the things in business that we deal with on the Commissioner's Court. It's the decisions that I've seen coming to the court in the few weeks that I've served are very similar to the decisions I've dealt with in business for nearly 30 years. The second thing that makes me qualified is my ability to work with people, both in business and in volunteer roles in particular, but in business and in volunteer roles, you have to work with people that you don't always agree with. You have to build consensus. You have to collaborate with people. You have to work together. And I've done that in business. That's the only way we can get business done. I've done it repeatedly in numerous volunteer roles all over the spectrum, from college to community to church to political. And the third thing is the political experience that I've gained in the last 5 years. Politics is a new world for me, but I've had the privilege of serving on the Collin County Planning Board, where I got a tremendous education on what's involved in building and maintaining the infrastructure that we all rely on to live in Collin County. I've also gotten the opportunity to serve on various committees in the GOP, as I said before, the Strategic Planning and Vision Committee, campaigning in Virginia, those sorts of things where I've begun to learn what goes on in politics. One of the biggest things we did was we started the North Texas Citizens Lobby, and we had people in Austin every week of the regular session of the 83rd legislature. So it was a great opportunity to learn how to work with the folks down there. Thank you.
How much of your time are you going to assign to this job?
This will be a full-time job for me. We're very fortunate in our business that we've got it to a point where I can own the business, but I don't have to run the business. My wife has worked with me for 28 years. She's our controller and office manager. She will continue in that role. I have good managers at the business that will do what they've been doing for years and will continue to do that. So I can own the business, but I don't have to operate it. And I really look forward to spending full time serving as your county commissioner. Right now, a lot of time is being spent on campaigning, but that's my job right now, is to get reelected or to get elected. I'm passionate about what's going on in government, and I really look forward to spending full time working with with elected officials from the city level up to the state level and perhaps even the federal level to build consensus around solutions for the big picture items that we need to solve. We will also, of course, work within our core functions in the county to make sure that we're doing what we need to do and that we're doing it as efficiently as we can at the lowest possible cost that we can. But it's an exciting, you know, I've built stuff for 37 years. So I've been there, got the T-shirt, that old saying. I'm very excited about the opportunity, excuse me, to now go do what I'm passionate about and try and help make Collin County, I hate to say this, it's already a great place to live, but to continue to improve it, continue to stay ahead of the curve on water and roads and those sorts of things that are so critical to our growth.
Same question.
Yes, I will serve as a full-time county commissioner. This is a huge, huge job. Once you are in, not only will you need to know all the inner workings of all the departments, which will be very time-consuming, and you will also need to stay focused on your constituents. That's what it's all about. If on that court, I will be there to represent the 200,000 constituents of Precinct 1. I take that job extremely serious, and that is what I think will make me such a great commissioner. I'm great at getting out among people. I'm great at interacting with people and representing, and I'm not afraid to represent. I'm not afraid to speak to tough issues like transportation. People have said, Ann, you know, why do you take that up? The numbers are too big. Well, that's exactly where you need to focus, where the numbers are big and where the issues are complicated. That's the type of commissioner I will be. And I also want to say real quickly that I've been told that I will never be named at the commissioner court because I live in a less populated area up in Prosper. Well, Mike Openshaw of North Texas Tea Party, he said that's one of the reasons that he decided to endorse me is because I am close to where the growth is in the unincorporated areas, and we need a little representation up there in the north of the precinct. So I think I'm looking forward to it, and I just cannot wait. Thank you.
Oh,
another
give you
one?
the next one.
Okay.
This is a three-part question.
Okay.
What is your position on transportation?
Okay.
Toll roads and water?
Well, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Lieber Nation. You'll hear everything, I think, on transportation and more. I think it's a real problem. The state and the federal are not funding transportation. I mean, how backward is this in this huge state with all these people flocking to Texas as the last bastion of freedom? And you know how we fund transportation in Texas these days, ladies and gentlemen? And this hurts me to have to voice this because I am a native Texan. We're doing it through debt and through rainy day funds. Now, does that make sense to anybody in this room? It's a mess. It's a total mess. They've gone to toll roads. I'm a pragmatic person. If this was the old style turnpike model where once the road was paid for, the toll was lifted, I guess I could understand that a little better, but this is something different. This is taxation in perpetuity with absolutely no representation. These toll contracts are for 50 to 99 years. It's wrong, and they say that they're user fees. That is a lie. If they are indeed user fees, why are they now placing managed toll lanes on what have historically been freeways like 635 and an HOV managed lane up Central Expressway? So I'm not a fan of the toll roads, and I think it's terrible that transportation is not being funded in the great state of Texas. We have to push back. Is that so?
Do you have any comments on water?
On water, well, water I'm a little more optimistic on. Prop 6 set up a water fund, $200 billion upfront money, but as Van Taylor has pointed out, there's already $6 billion waiting to, like a credit card waiting to be used towards water. What's up with that? We have to watch these huge funds with these billions of dollars in them. We have to see how this money is going to be used, how it's going to be allocated, and stay on top of it. Once you vote for a prop, your job is not done. You need to be a watchdog and see how this money is going to be spent, how it's going to be allocated, where it's going to go. Make sure it doesn't go somewhere it's not supposed to go.
roads and water.
You know, that's such an easy subject to cover in 2 minutes. Those are the big issues that the county doesn't have complete control over, but that we need to be heavily involved in because they're so critical to our ongoing growth. Transportation is underfunded at the state and federal levels. Everybody recognizes there's a lot of state fatigue in the county. NTTA brings in about $500 million a year in revenue, and they're about $9 billion in debt. They refer to that as a pinch point. I would refer to it as almost being insolvent. So I don't know how many more toll roads are going to be built. It's very problematic. I am opposed to the way that the state legislature is funding transportation. The gas tax, 48 cents on the dollar, is siphoned off the gas tax away from transportation and put into other things. About 25 cents of that goes to education. If we need to fund education, we need to fund it appropriately and not take it away from transportation. So that's where working with the legislature to find solutions on how to solve these big problems is important. Water is a huge issue. We need to pray for rain. We're in I think, 3 years into the drought. Levon is at 46% of capacity. That will get better this year with the opening of the new pipeline that will restore about, I've heard, anywhere from 25 to 28% of our water supply. So that's important. But we also need to look at other sources of water. We have some new reservoirs coming online. That will help, but it's several years down the road. We need to look at the permitting process to get new reservoirs built. We need to look at groundwater, which the county does control. We don't control surface water, but we do control groundwater. So what can we do there? These are big, complicated issues, and I can't stand here in another 10 seconds and address them because you're going to hold that sign up. But those are huge issues that we as county leaders need to work on.
Thank you, Mark. You might as well stay put. What is the biggest issue, in your opinion, that you would face as commissioner?
The biggest issue? That's a good question. The county is run. The county is run so well. Our tax rate is low. The services we provide are excellent. We've got to continue, as I said in the opening, we've got to continue to look for ways to do things better and faster and smarter because complacency will kill. I went to a training session in Denton with Fred and some other county leaders, and they were talking about various stages in county parties, and the fourth stage was one where the county party gets complacent. And I'm concerned about that in this county. In the 70s, this was a Democrat county, and we changed it. We changed it, not me, but collectively. The Republicans changed this to a Republican county. We need to not get complacent. We need to stay vigilant at the county level, at the GOP level, and we need to stay vigilant as a county commissioner's court to look for ways to do things better, faster, and smarter. The biggest challenges, I think, are what can we do as county leaders with our state elected leaders to find solutions for the bigger problems. We've had problems in industry where I've served on the board of the Associated General Contractors of America, and the legislature tasked us years ago with this particular problem on indemnification to get together with all the various stakeholders in the commercial construction business, the subs, the generals, the suppliers, the insurance people, the owners, the architects, the engineers, get together and figure out the best way to solve that indemnification problem. This has got nothing to do with what we're talking about, but except that we got together and we came up with a solution, and we went to the legislature and they passed a law to make it happen. We need to do the same thing with big issues like water and transportation. We need to come up with solutions and then go to the legislature and offer that solution so they can write the legislation to make it happen.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. What is the biggest issue, in your opinion, that you would face as county commissioner?
The biggest issue I think I would face is staying true. I would want the people, the constituents, I would want to remember why I'm there. To represent the people, regardless of party stripe, roads, bridges. A lot of the county workings do not have to have anything to do with an R or a D behind your name. I would want to remember why I am there with a servant's heart and to do good for the public. and not let political games get in the way. Try to stay true and not get pulled left or right, but just speak my truth calmly and go forth and represent the people of the precinct in the best way that I can. I know I can do it, and I look forward to it. And I think that would be the number one agenda I have. I come to this seat with no preconceived agenda. I really don't have political ambition, and that may sound funny to you, but I don't. But I do this work anyway. I know I can do this work, and I feel like as a Tea Party leader, I've told people, I say, good people need to get out there and run. And so when this seat became available and it was a perfect fit for me, I thought to myself, well, am I just going to talk the talk, or am I going to walk the walk? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to walk the walk. Thank you.
You want to say that?
Yes.
Is Agenda 21 a threat to Collin County? And if so, would you name some of the threats that you see?
Well, it is, and that has been made fun of. Agenda 21 has been called a conspiracy theory, but I asked you to Google my name, and you will see an article that was written called Conspiracy No More. I went before 6 House reps at a McKinney Tea Party meeting at the end of the summer, and I asked them why on the North Central Texas Council of Government website there is a definition of sustainable development, which is really Agenda 21. And I asked, why is that on the North Central Texas Council of Government website, the definition taken verbatim from the United Nations document called Our Common Future? And you can see that YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. You can see the gentleman's answers to this. But many people do not realize this, and I do not think it is appropriate for a quasi-government agency like this regional entity, North Central Texas Council of Government. I do not understand why they have international policy on there. Okay? Think about that. Please think about that. And please Google this article. And please look at this YouTube video where I spoke to this. I would say I've been one of the most outspoken activists in Collin County and in North Texas on Agenda 21 sustainable development. Is absolutely, it's a infringement on property rights and other freedoms that we all hold dear. Thank you.
In my view, Agenda 21 is a threat not just to Collin County, but it's a threat to the nation. I frankly think we need to quit funding the United Nations and send them all home, but that's unfortunately, the Commissioner's Court doesn't have any jurisdiction on that. Nobody opposes conservation. With the drought, we're all conserving. We're in states that are on water restrictions. We learn to conserve. We learn to water our yards differently so we can have our nice green lawns while using less water. What I don't need, and what we don't need in the county, what we don't need in the nation, is people telling us what kind of toilets to use, what kind of light bulbs to screw in the socket, and all this other garbage that's crammed down our throat. It's very aggravating, and it needs to stop. I don't know why we put up with it. It goes from Agenda 21 and the environmental concerns, and what's the next thing? Our Second Amendment rights? They're talking about that in the United Nations. It's crazy. We need to get rid of the United Nations. We need to pay attention to our Constitution. This is a sovereign nation, and nobody on earth can tell us what to do. So, yeah, it's a threat. Thank you. When this is over, I'll have it down.
If you could change one thing, what would it be?
Another one. The first thing I change is the administration in Washington.
Amen.
And we'll all work for that. We need to refocus on working together. We've got to quit amongst conservatives. We have all these labels, and labels are divisive. We talk about moderates, and we talk about Tea Party people, and we talk about social conservatives and fiscal conservatives. And that just divides us. I think it's Mark 3:25. I'm not a Bible scholar, but a house divided against itself cannot stand. And the liberal side of the equation, the liberal side of the argument, along with their friends in the media, just do everything they can to divide us. We've got clubs in this county that won't speak to each other because they have different views on things or because they support different candidates. We're not going to win that way, folks. We've got to come together and come together around. Now, this is a primary to select who's going to represent the party, but when that's done, we've got to come together and pull together for the conservatives that are here for the Republican Party. So that's what I would change, is let's quit beating each other up over the 10 or 20% of the items that we disagree on, instead of beating up the other side of the argument that we agree on almost nothing with. There's no reason to do that. So let's pull together and take our country back from the socialist on the other side of the equation, excuse me for the label, but for the socialist on the other side of the equation that I think are frankly ruining our country, and they're trying to come do that to Texas right now with Jody Laubenberg's race and some others. So that's what I changed.
Well, I have to agree with my good opponent, Mark Reed. He's exactly right. We need leaders that are bold, that are unafraid, that are fearless. And, you know, when I've spoken to things like Agenda 21 or about toll roads and said, you know, the toll roads are incrementalism, pretty soon there may not be freeways in Texas, people will laugh. And I've had people laugh at me about Agenda 21 too, because I spoke to this way before it was really mainstreamed. In the last primary at candidate forums, you would hear quite a bit of questions concerning Agenda 21, but I was on this early on and did a lot of study on it and spoke to it. And you know what I've always said is, I would much rather be wrong on some of these things than be right. So I'm not afraid. If I'm wrong, that's all good. But we have to have bold leaders in office, and they have to be unafraid, because you are representing the people. And we have to step out in faith. We have to stay true to our principles and our core values. And whatever the outcome is the outcome. But we have got to do this work. We have got to. And I'm all about it. I'm willing to do the work, and I'll take whatever criticism comes, and I'll take whatever good comes. Thank you.
Any questions? Do you have any questions that you've written down?
Okay, what is the biggest problem Collin County has, and what will you do to solve it? Either one. All of it. Draw straws. What is the biggest problem Collin County has, and what will you do with it?
That's very similar to a previous question we had. And again, Collin County, you know, I'm asked as we campaign, I'm asked, what would you do? What do you want to do? What's your agenda? That sort of thing. And sort of the underlying assumption behind that question is there is something wrong that we need to go fix in the county. And we're blessed to live in a county where things are really going very well. We've got an excellent judicial system. We have excellent service down at the administration building in the courthouse. The sheriff does a great job. We've got a jail that people come from all over the country to see how we do it here. And we may chuckle at that, but that's how good a job we're doing in the county. And we're doing it with one of the lowest tax rates in the state. So we don't have a big problem here in the county. I mean, we've got challenges with roads and water and some of those big issues, but the things that we're working on in the county are things around the periphery. Even there's been some conversation, I've had conversations about the employee compensation. Started with the pension plan that the Corps worked on for the last 3 years. Now we're looking at some of the compensation strategy. It's not a big problem. It's working around the edge to make things better. in business, if you don't constantly look for a better way to do stuff, your competition's going to find a way, and they're going to move out in front of you. We've got to do the same thing in government. Constantly look for a better way to do things. Use technology. We're already doing that very well. Some of the programs in the jail with virtual proceedings that can go on in some of the criminal cases to avoid having to move prisoners back and forth from the jail to the courthouse. Andrea's efforts on electronic documentation are just, I think it's, we're number 1 or 2 in the state constantly. We're doing so many good things in this county that we should be proud, and we just need to continue to try and make it better.
I would say the biggest problem is coming from the state and fed. They want to put unfunded mandates on the local, and I think that would be the biggest problem. Pushing debt, pushing unfunded, making the county be accountable for more and pay for it out of their own funds. That's the biggest problem, and I think that the county has been very proactive. The court has kept us from being annexed into the Dallas Hospital District. That has been very, very good for the county because there is a push to regionalize health care. That would be very expensive and a heavy weight on the county financially. So that's one thing they've done. And another thing they've done that very few people probably realize, this was very innovative and creative, and I think quite savvy. They formed the Collin County Toll Authority. The NTTA was, doing their thing, and so we formed that, and the NTTA had said that it was disingenuous of the court to form that toll authority, and that we were not embracing the spirit of regionalism, which is really wealth redistribution. But I think it was quite savvy, quite smart, and I noticed after that the NTTA started giving us a little attention, and I appreciate that.
You may have already answered this, I don't know. What ideas do you have to improve transportation in Collin County?
Well, I think, right now they have we passed a transportation bond in 2007, and the county partners with the municipalities on a 1-to-1 match on transportation issues. They let the municipalities decide what transportation projects are important. We partner with them, but this is going to be an ongoing challenge. It's going to be an ongoing challenge, and you're not going to see anything but toll roads in the future. As I can see right now, there was a special session out of the 83rd Legislature on transportation, Senate Bill 1029, and all that Senate bill did, it started as a good bill, 2 or 3 sentences that said no more making tolls on freeways, and by the end of that, when it got manipulated and massaged and had all the lobbyists get in there and do this, that, and the other, there were 5 loopholes placed in that bill that give more authority to TxDOT to toll anything and anything they want to than before. So right now, we've got more toll roads in our future, but we have got to lobby the legislature, we've got to push back, and we have to demand funding of transportation. Without funding, cities, towns, and counties and states live and die by transportation. It's a core function, and we need to fund it, plain and simple. Thank you. Is that all from me?
Yes. What ideas do you have to improve transportation?
We're working on transportation right now. There's about $90 million left on the 2007 bond package that's going to be spent over the next 3 years. We're also looking at some additional funds that we have in the county. We talked about that a week ago yesterday. We are working on ways to best utilize that funding. These cities do come to us with their priorities, and then we cooperate with them. These excess funds will be used in other ways, and we haven't determined how they'll be used. There's various plans on that. One way would be to just give each commissioner some of the funds and let the commissioner spend them in his area. There's talk about focusing on the regional mobility side of the issue. There's a lot of ways to do it, but we're working on that in the court. One of the things that I'm doing is I've met with the City of Plano officials about transportation. I met with Salina officials about transportation. I've got to meet with Prosper. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. I met with Prosper. I got to meet with Salina. I'm meeting with Mayor Massa in Frisco on tomorrow, in fact, to talk about transportation. So I'm going to the various municipalities and trying to better understand what their concerns are. Plano, for instance, puts more money into the system than they get out of it, and they want us to focus on regional mobility. They're not wanting the money to fix potholes. They want the money to enhance regional mobility because everybody is going through Plano to get to and from where they live in Frisco and McKinney and Prosper and Salina. So we will continue to pursue those efforts like the court has done in the past, and spend the money that we have wisely and for the best interest of everybody in the county.
Thank you.
That's the wrap up.
Pardon me?
Wrap up, if you like to.
Okay. Yes. You go ahead, Mark, you're up. Just wrap up 2 minutes.
Okay? Again, thank you for having this. It's great to get out and meet you folks. It's been an exciting 2 or 3 months. We've learned a lot. I think we've all learned a lot. I will just say that with all due respect to everybody involved in the race, I think if I was hiring somebody to run my business, or if I was hiring somebody to be hold an executive position in a $280 million enterprise with over 1,800 employees, I would look for somebody with experience related to doing that. Again, with all due respect to my worthy opponents, I have that experience. I have C-level experience running a business, building a business, growing a business. I've done that for 28 years. I'll get picked on if I exaggerate by 2 years. I've been doing that for a long time. The decisions, the things that I'm encountering on the court so far are identical, bad word, are very similar to the things that I've encountered in business for the last 3 decades. We were talking about a lease in court yesterday. We were talking about indemnification clauses in executive session. It's the stuff I know, it's the stuff I've done for all these years, so that part of the job is easy. I have to learn the parts about the government, the governmental accounting, and all of the alphabet soup of agencies and that sort of thing, like anybody would have to learn, but I know how to run a business, and I can take that business experience and apply it to running the business of Collin County. I think that's very important. I was honored to be appointed. I'm honored to be serving you now, and I simply ask for an opportunity to continue that service through the end of 2016, which would have been the end of Matt's term. And to do that, I need your vote right now in the primary or on March 4th. So thank you for having this.
I want to close by saying I do think it's admirable that my opponent has been a business owner and CEO. I do not think that is the total criteria for a county commissioner. I think it is very important for the commissioner to be an ethical person, a free-thinking person, a hard-working person, and a person that understands how to represent people. I do that. I have been, of my 2 opponents, I have been the one person that has been solely focused for the last 5 years at the local and county and regional level on issues such as transportation. Again, I don't mean to wear y'all out on my YouTube commercial, but if you will really be serious about vetting this race, please go to the youtube.com/Lieber Nation. You will see all my work is documented. I have spoken into the public record. I go to transportation meetings, and I have really, this has been my really issue of choice, transportation and property rights. So again, and I'm very proud to be endorsed by Texans United for Reform and Freedom. They are a group in San Antonio, and they focus on transportation and property rights. They gave me an A+ yesterday, and I'm just thrilled and honored to be endorsed by TURF. So that I think my record says everything you need to know about me, and it's out there if you'll just go look at it. Thank you.